Okay, welcome to the March 13th meeting of the Finance Committee. We have a quorum. We have a posted agenda that we will follow tonight. First thing on the agenda is review of the January 10th minutes.
Yes.
Any questions on David?
Yeah, can I just make a change to it under countryside where I'm quoted as saying, last sentence, they have not given us any information that we have asked for. They have given us the information that we asked for. Problem is we have to ask for it all the time. So can we just strike that last sentence out, please?
Any objections?
No.
I don't see any merit to that last line, so striking it should not be a problem.
Thank you.
All in favor of that amendment to the minutes? Nobody opposed? Sold. Now, how about a motion to the, accepting the amended?
Second.
Okay, Mike Nicholson, motion, Vincenzo, second. Okay, as was brought to my attention by
All
the,
those in favor? All those in favor?
It's like
Can I just
Chairman
say that?
Nicholson is all over this.
all those in favor? Thought I did.
Who made the motion to?
Chairman Nicholson.
Nicholson
No, David made the motion
to amend.
and who seconded it?
Vinnie.
Vinnie?
Okay. So,
What the heck is that?
sounds like a truck in the building.
Citizens for Milford's here.
In the past,
We're on Court Street. What
what
do you
has worked well
expect?
is we got the preliminary budget submissions from departments, and we went through, discussed the departments that were within the 3.5% guidelines, and accepted those. And then the ones that weren't, we decided whether or not to bring those people in, those departments in. Because there's some that they're over the guidelines, but there's no choice. So we can discuss it, but when you have no choice, like licenses, that the licenses went up and you can't cut licenses, well, there's nothing you can do. So unless somebody objects, I'd like to use that format again this year. So I sent-
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman.
I sent out a list, and Paul Abodabo made a copy for everybody. The first one is the moderator. He's proposing that his budget go up 3%. Motion to accept? Anybody object? Sold. Zach, maybe you can help us with this Select Board going down 32%.
Sure.
Andy and,
You may recall last year's budget, we had a
Sure.
new position that
Sure.
was a
I made the motion,
town
Andy seconded.
administrator / economic
Andy made it, and I
development
seconded.
officer. We are no
Because they weren't
longer
gonna go through
going
these.
with that model, so this budget is purely removing that position in totality. And then absent that, there's contractual increases. 3 selectmen are in there with 3% based on Article 3. Rick Valani, town administrator, has a contract that's built in as well. And the general expenditures are level funded, but the large increase is due to the removal of a position.
The large decrease.
Decrease. Before we cheer it on, you will see a position moved in town planner, but we'll save that for another
Okay.
discussion. Just want to make that.
Any
clear.
questions on that?
not going to go through
Motion? Vinnie? Second? Andy? All in favor? Any opposed? Sold.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Vinnie?
Vinnie.
Andy seconded it. Okay, count 131, Finance Committee going up 2%. Nothing to say except same as always.
Paul and Diana.
Paul and Diana.
Oh, so overpaid.
Maybe not Diana, Paul.
Oh, no, she is, please.
Thanks a lot.
Any
Bought coffee
questions?
for all of us.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Lauren, motion.
I'll second.
Vinnie, second. All in favor? Any against?
Oh, God,
Accepted.
Diane, you're rich again.
The reserve fund was 125. We're proposing we keep it at 125. This is the Finance Committee's emergency fund. I don't know if we spent any this year, did we?
Not this year, no, not yet.
So
So far, so good.
there's been years where we've come close.
Last year was 77.
The year before was almost 80. Okay,
Do it?
Can I ask a question on that, Mr. Chairman?
yes.
Does that mean it's 250 at least?
No, it closes out every year.
So,
No.
so you just replenish the 125?
This is a budget item. It's not
It's not a
a
no, okay,
reoccurring.
thank you.
It's pure budget, 125.
All right.
We've used it in the past when, like, the highway department had a heater blowout, and we asked the commissioner to cover it in her budget, and then another heater blew out, so she said she could cover one but not two, so we fronted her the money for
Women
that.
are inferior.
Is there,
Strict with it, rightfully so.
It's emergencies. This is not a slush fund.
Okay.
We can't do this.
given the tight budgets that you're looking at for 25, I don't know if you'll have someone who really cuts a little bit too short and/or ignores a potential emergency, and whether it could put strain on this more than usual,
Could,
whether
but,
the 125 would be enough in that scenario.
Paul?
Yeah, anything that's known before the annual town meeting in May, there can always be an article on town meeting to clear any deficit. So if something comes up in February or March, up until maybe close to April, you could still get an article on a town meeting to appropriate money for something that needs emergency fixing.
October and May give us 2 points
All right,
to replenish the account if we need to.
good.
So far, 125's been good, but it's not,
Similar to like you do the snow and ice.
yeah. But to your point, if we got hit for 100 grand, August, September, come October, we could ask the town meeting to replenish that back to 125.
All right.
And that would carry us to May, and if something, God forbid, happened again, we got May to carry us till July.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to accept the reserve fund at $1.25, 0%? Lauren? Andy? All in favor? It's easy, and no opposed. Finance Director, 4% increase.
That's both myself and the town accountant, just simply contract, we level funded general expenses.
Keep in mind, Brian's part of that now, too.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Brian.
So Brian's.
The most overpaid person in your department.
Assistant town accountant also. You get the COLAs as well.
We
so-
switched that in last year, that was a proper,
So now Brownie is the most overpaid person in your department. I thought so.
Okay.
Brownie.
Any questions on 4% for finance? Motion?
Ocean.
Chris and Andy. All in favor? Sold. Treasurer. Now, this one looks out of line at 8%, but my understanding is OPEB contribution of 10 grand happens every other year. So this is going to look bad this year at 8%, because that 10 grand for OPEB. Next year, it'll look very good, because you won't have the 10 grand.
it's the audit to develop the unfunded liability. It's not an actual contribution, that's in Department 914, the 600K we did.
This is the audit,
This is the audit that is mandatory, mind you.
Every year.
so we really don't have a choice.
You know, and my understanding, it went up a little bit to 11,000, but he's able to encumber 1,000 from this year to cover it, because the audit does span 2 years. So he's gonna do what he can for this budget.
Any questions?
Well, if this is biannual, looking at 2023, the budget was 258. So if you're jumping over, it went 258 2 years ago up to 294 this year, and you're talking about a $10,000 OPEB?
Well, you're missing last year, the final budget was 273 last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're talking
So-
about OPEB contribution being every other year. I'm just saying.
OPEB audit, I should have been clear.
Audits
It's
every
the
other year. The
audit.
contributions every year.
For the audit.
He's saying I think he's saying 223 should be high.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
All right,
No, you're right.
Contribute every year.
I don't know what happened last year.
I think he renegotiated his contract. So I think, oh, no, that's general expenses, sorry.
That's my point, that's not it at all.
No.
Now, purely look at the general expense, yeah,
Right.
so it's up $10,000, but the year before is actually expended, not budget, no, expended. So the budget was probably $10,000 higher.
Yeah, yeah, again, so if you just look at general expenses, 2 years ago it was 22,000, this year's 32, so there's your 10. The difference, what Mike was talking about, was contractual
Okay.
obligations. That's the reason for it.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on 145, Treasurer?
Just that, what's that reference to general expenses? Is there a line item I'm supposed to be looking at?
Under 145.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying that within that is a general
Here's the
expense?
thing.
Andy,
Yeah.
the sheets that you got sent
Yeah.
This is just a summary.
today have all the details.
Okay.
This is a summary sheet that I put together, so it could be wrong.
Yep. Okay, I'm
But
good.
if you want individual, I took in anything that was red or above, I printed these, so if you had a question, you can see them.
I'm with you.
Okay, 145, any other questions? Motion?
Motion.
Michael and Lauren, all in favor? Sold.
Mr. Chairman, accept of 146, 147, 148, 135, 151, and 152. All of them seem to be within our acceptable limits.
Good point. Benefits is the only one that's up.
I agree, yes, sir.
So,
That's contractual.
And that's contractual.
Yeah, some of them you have a step increase with the COLA.
That's my point.
Like a 2.
So, Mr. Chairman, I apologize. That was contractual.
that's fine then. So you're making a motion that we accept 146, 47, 48, 35, 51, 52.
Yes, and we'll talk about 153, human resources, but yes,
What were they again?
So we got Chris and Lauren,
150,
all in favor of accepting all those?
146 to
We move now to
152.
153, human resources. That's up 6%.
Does anyone know what's happening with this department?
Brownie?
What's that?
That's all
Browning?
contractual benefits.
No, but who, like, who's-
You guys don't see the breakdown, but general expenses is level funded. It's really a matter of,
Who's our human resource manager?
human resource.
Kristen,
Oh, she is back? Full-time or part-time?
full-time.
This week?
Yeah, is she full-time or
That was a
part-time?
joke, Brownie.
Full-time in this building? Right, okay.
Nobody
So
thinks I'm
those,
funny.
that
I think I'm
6% is contractual.
Huh?
Yes, it's a step in COLA.
All the backup on that was given in the spreadsheet, so if you look at the
Right.
spreadsheets that were sent out, you can see the actual people.
We just approved, we just
But I wouldn't know they're in the building full-time or not, I wouldn't.
6.
Well, she's not-
Okay, guys, hold on.
This on, oh, you're talking about human resources?
I'm talking about human
We didn't
resources.
get to that one yet.
We haven't gotten
Oh,
to
yeah,
it.
I think we're talking about it
We're
now.
there right now, 153, we're there.
52.
I mean, there's a side note, we got to be careful, because when we have 6% contractual, that trend can't continue.
Can't keep doing this, yeah.
Can I make a comment on that? Just how do we, is it possible, I mean, I don't know what the answer is to this, but the jump from 2023 to 2025 is quite large. Is there any possibility to go back to 2023 levels, or are we just like pigeonholed stuck where we are today going forward?
So these steps that you're referencing now are a result of the personnel vote that gets voted via Article 2 of town meeting.
The 2023 to 2025?
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you look at the columns, right?
Oh, 2024 to 2025.
No, I understand that part, but if you look at 2023 to 2025, it's a huge jump.
Yeah,
So I just didn't know if what happened?
Paul,
so they're all on stepping programs.
Stepping
Yeah, and
lanes,
some
baby.
jobs sometimes are reclassified, so some jobs may go to a higher job grade in a reclassification. Without looking specifically at that job, I wouldn't know if that happened, but there have been some jobs that have moved into a different one. But when you look at the Article 2 in general, you're gonna see like some people are going to get a step increase on an annual basis. And if you have a question with that, it should be addressed with the personnel board. And those steps increase by 3% according to COLA.
Right.
So for some people, it's going to be a 6% increase on that.
So somebody has an anniversary date in February, okay? So if I have an increase in February, I go by FY '24 personnel board, say I'm at grade 5, step 1, okay? Say it's $10,000, and that's the FY '24. So somebody goes to step 2, say it's $15,000, under the FY '24 rates. But then when FY '25 comes out, that same 15 is now 17, so they've actually kind of got a step and a COLA. So that's what happened with her.
Okay, this is a result of our study that we did?
Unless they're maxed out.
So,
Go ahead.
yes, this new scale is a result of the compensation study, but we've always municipal had a program like
No,
this.
no.
But not merit is. with
The issue that's coming up is when you get a step
I'd like to step
and a
back.
COLA at 6%,
And she left.
is that sustainable? And it's getting to a point where it's not going to be.
Right, that's my point. I know we talked about in the past about trying to get good talent and being
Yeah.
competitive with surrounding towns, but
So you'll also
For our
notice a
demise.
lot of these other budgets, you're like, all right, why is this 6.7, but you see another one that's purely 3. So once people hit their max step, that's game over besides COLA.
They get a COLA.
They get a
Right.
COLA, yeah.
Yeah, the problem is too many of the
It's a wacky
departments
system. I'm not
are
even
hitting
fully
6 and
defending it, I'm just telling
7%
you the reality.
overall. And
like a technical term?
we can justify it any way we want, but our revenue isn't going up 6 and 7%. So eventually, those lines, as they did in 2003, start to cross. Okay, human resources then. Motion,
All right.
Michael, which way? Michael says favorable, accepted. Vinnie seconds it. All in favor?
I'm a no.
Okay, everybody but Dr. Levine, so it passes. I'm going to bring up 155 IT because there's a 21% increase in the budget. Before you react, I asked the question, why? Are we adding any programs? Are we adding anything? And the head of IT gave me his word that he's not adding anything, but he did an inventory of how many people we have on the programs we have, and it went up 21%. Apparently, we weren't counting everybody. But legitimately, if we got 10 people using it, we should be paying for 10 licenses.
You don't think it would be reasonable to ask for documentation for that kind of an increase, though?
Absolutely.
You should have it in your, well, I don't know what Al sent you, but I have a complete 3-page detail that I can make sure Al gets in the one you would like,
Yes,
okay? That's for 155.
155.
That all went out, that was all sent out with the 155 attachment, so.
Everything in the back, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You should have
Everybody-
a breakdown.
Oh, yeah,
Because I
that's
saw a
that's the
breakdown
one I'm talking about.
With big paragraphs, but I didn't remember seeing numbers supporting it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll take a.
Well, let's take a
It's on
look.
the drive too, so if you go on the drive, it's all listed by department numbers. So if they're 155, you'll see there's like 4 different files on the drive for 155.
Well, let us take a look, and Lauren, if you don't have a clear answer, we'll ask Chris.
Okay.
I focused on, are you adding anything? Like adding Microsoft Publisher? And he said, no. It's everything we've had. It's just now that he's counting up all the people using it, those are the legitimate number of licenses. And unfortunately, when you add them all up, it adds 21 grand. Now, we're accepting this, so if you come up with something that should be changed, we can revisit it. Motion,
Motion?
Michael. Second, Vinnie. All in favor? Sold. Now, here's some good news, but an explanation would be nice. We're looking at 158, title foreclosure going from 75 to 50.
I believe that's foreclosures. He doesn't expect there to be that many this year, right?
He was bullish in the past couple of years, and this committee supported the extra funds to do so, and I think his efforts made it where it does not need to be.
Okay, so that is real
I
in your
think a
mind.
couple of the ones that were potential foreclosures this past year, turned out to be payoffs and resolution one way or the other. So he didn't use as much, so he's decreasing this year because he doesn't foresee using that, needing as much as he did.
Michael, second. Lauren, all in favor? Sold. Town planner. This one's got me confused. An 87% increase. Zach, is this where we took a person and took away their responsibilities but kept them in a different department?
That's what I was presenting on the 122, yes. I would suggest that you hold that off till the next meeting when town administrator can come in and talk to it as well.
I agree, because that's totally confusing. This was the mini Valani, right?
To a degree, but the removal of any assistant town administrator, it got re-ranked on what I just gave over here on the personnel law, the removal of any assistants to the town administrator.
Who has general government?
Me.
Okay, would you ask that a clarification? Because it seems like we removed, it was approved as two parts, half for helping town administrator, half for the planner. So we took it out of the town administrator. Now we have a full salary in a half role. So I'm
Well,
confused.
it's not the same salary as the other job, I don't think.
I understand the question, though, Mr. Chairman, and I'll be happy to address it. He's finally, I
Same
think it was
thing-
Friday he's finalizing the budget, and then at that point, I will be able to address that. at that point.
175 planning board, going up 21%.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, that whole economic development planner will affect 174, 175, and 182. They'll all be intertwined, so those three, when there's going to be a further discussion, should include all three of
Okay,
them.
so Chris will put off all three of those.
174, 175, 182.
And I'll address all those, sir.
Cool.
And one of the expenses is the printing of the town comprehensive plan.
That's got its own,
Direct expenses.
is that different from the report?
There'll be a printing of it when it's done, and it's gonna be probably to the tune of some $4,000.
That's not correct.
Is that,
Well, and I spoke to Larry this morning, and that's,
Thank you.
what Paul said is exactly right.
but is that in here?
What's that?
No.
Is that in here?
Yes.
Yes, that's part of 175.
Oh, okay.
Part of
The general expenses went up
175, yes.
$4,000, which is communication/printing upon completion of the EDP.
Oh, okay, that makes
That is
sense.
correct.
Okay? And as far as the town planner goes, that increases the economic development planner, as well as the office equipment for the new planner. And then 182 involves expenses incurred upon whatever projects that they determine they need.
Okay, we'll leave the details to when
Yeah.
Larry comes in.
Yeah.
186, Fair Housing Committee, 3%.
Motion,
Michael, Vinnie, all in favor?
Mr. Chairman, acceptance of 192, 194, 195.
As far as you can go.
I was just going to say, thank you, sir.
All of those are, the town report, it's $400 more, but it's out of our goals, but I don't know if you can do much about that.
Some of that is electric.
186, 192, 194.
Wait a minute, what's electric?
Well, I thought you were talking
95.
about 192, but
Oh, okay, 192,
there's reason to see incremental increases on a couple of the line items as well.
okay.
I'm fine with all that.
So we got a motion and a second, Chris and Lauren, 192, 194, 195. All in favor? Any against? So fire, I think it's safe to say we need to have Chief Nelson come in.
We have a subcommittee meeting scheduled for that for March 20.
Yeah.
And I've got some other issues I'd like to discuss when we talk about subcommittee reports on that, so it's,
So we'll put that one off till our next meeting.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, acceptance of 244, 291, 292, 296, and 299.
Okay, I have one question. What's with animal control, 10 grand?
Pitbull.
292, right?
292, 10 grand.
A little bit, yeah, well, there's a $6,000 increase between salaries. I think they have that new temp in there, that part-timer, plus Keith himself. And then as far as expenses, they are,
That's one that got modified to be decreased back to 17,000.
Exactly.
Hold on a second.
It's only contractual,
That's
yeah,
exactly.
that's all contractually, yes.
yeah.
Level funded on expenses.
There was an increase in general, I discussed it with the town administrator.
So the unclassified miscellaneous that was in from 17 to 21, you're saying got changed?
It's 17,000 total general expenses, yes.
Okay. Any questions? On 244, sealer of weights and measures, 3%, emergency management, 0%, animal control is going down from the 8% proposed initially,
4.8 now,
4.8, and that's all contractual?
yes.
Water department hydrants is flat at 0.
Yeah,
Because we're not paying that anymore.
that will
That-
go away.
It only cost us 80 million, Abadanza, come on.
Insect control, 3%. Motion,
Second.
Vinnie, Dave Levine, second on all those. All in favor? So,
Like what Chris says, we saved $1 million on that. What the heck?
It only cost us 80 million, we saved $1 million, there you go.
350 BVT. My understanding from the good Dr. Nicholson is that they're going to be meeting tomorrow night.
Should be approving.
We'll have a number. Now, Dr. Fitz said we're getting good news this year, right?
I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay.
I'll forward that to you as soon as I get it.
Okay. Yeah, and just so you know, the reason you're getting sometimes a couple different versions in the day is in the morning, I clean up all the stuff that was submitted at night, and then during the day, Brownie and Zach send me more stuff, so I did one at night. I'll be cutting it back, I won't be giving you 2 a day, but I wanted to get a latest to everybody for this meeting.
Thank you.
Norfolk Tri-County, going up $100,000, 24%.
Enrollment.
Well, I kind of defer to Zachary on this one here.
Yeah, I talked to Kathy.
Because he's been speaking with Kathy, yeah.
She's expecting there's going to be potentially 4 additional students
Exactly.
attending there. And the cost per year is $25,000 per student. So there's your 100,000.
Now, I have a question. I have a rumor mill that says we may get hit again this year.
Yeah. I'm projecting based on the full review of what we were just talking about. Let's take a look at this current year and projecting we're going to have a $100,000 issue this year. So the school committee has sponsored a article for this May town meeting to appropriate to supplement the budget to the tune of $100,000.
So we're going to get hit for 100 grand. Always amazes me. 100 grand this year and 100 grand more next year.
The 100 grand this year will bring it up to the same level.
It's not the point though, Paul.
No, I know, I'm just saying, like, that will bring it up.
I'm not trying to be a
that level.
jerk, Paul, yeah, the point is.
No, I mean, it costs as much to go to this school
That's my,
as it does
that's
to
my
go to
point, Mr.
UMass.
Chairman.
Uh,
Yeah, if you don't live in Norfolk County, yes.
Mrs. Nicholson,
If you want to raise it.
as usual, right up
You
on.
probably have heard as a common theme with reviewing the school budget that transportation has been very significant, to say the least, and there's no exception here with this budget as well.
No question.
Not only enrollment, but transportation costs have skyrocketed.
Motion to accept that, though,
Chris has
unfortunately.
a motion.
Unfortunately.
Second,
Look at me, Harold.
Mike Nicholson. All in favor?
Don't care about the right question, Harold.
Sold. Streetlights,
Motion to accept 424, 425,
Stop
43.
there. Stop there, because transfer station we want to talk about. 424 streetlights, 1% increase, on-street, or 0%, on-street parking, 1%.
Can you change the name of 425 from on-street parking to something meaningful?
Yeah, I don't know what that
Okay,
is.
what should we call it?
I mean, we got rid of
Street-
parking meters 30 years ago.
Oh, street bandits, street bandits. Street bandits. 424 street bandits.
Get tagged during snowstorms.
You get tagged all the time.
Okay. Any substantial comments on 424, 425?
Besides comical street bandits.
Well, what is on-street parking? Is that, are we
If,
painting the lines?
no, if you get towed there and you have to pay retribution, tickets, all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Oh, these are expenses.
It's one of the positions.
That's my point, but you have to pay.
I was going to say,
to
isn't
tow
this for
those
the
cars
clerk
away.
collecting the fines?
It's our cost to tow those cars away.
much do we collect a
pick up
year?
them.
I hope it's more than 70 grand.
I think it's around 70. Yeah.
Al's Towing is making a bandit.
Because I've always had a question to say, if we're not making any money on collecting fines, why are we,
Why we
Collecting.
find
Because you
people.
have to
right?
remove the.
If it costs us as much to collect, you either increase the fines, which is not a popular thing, or you do away with it and then you don't need the position.
Well, you do collect HP parking fines also, which goes to the Commission on Disability.
Last year it was 94,000.
Okay,
It's
and
not
the fact
chump
that it's
change.
going to the
It's not-
Disability
It's not
Commission,
chump change.
there's a benefit. Well, no, it's just, when it's 70 grand to collect it, I want to make sure there's more coming in. The Gazinta's got to be bigger
The
than the
Gazalta.
That's non-handicap collection, which goes to a different funding source.
But is it collected by the same person?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Any other comments? Motion on 424, 425?
Motion.
Vinnie, Andy, all in favor? Sold. Transfer station.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that one, Mr. Chairman, and everybody else. Pretty much the personal services, as we know, is based off COLAs. But from what I understand, and I talked to Scott Christopoli submitted this, and he's got a $40,000 increase in other disposals. He says the costs are out of control. So pretty much the bulk of this increase is that $40,000.
It's a trash disposal.
Yes.
I've heard the same thing from
It is
the...
trash.
No,
At the transfer station.
No, but I'm saying it's the garbage, not the garbage. It's
trash
the
is
trash from, not our homes, but from the transfer station.
Yes.
And we're hearing that the price of disposal for the town is going to go way up.
But this is a gross, I mean, we net, there's a net number to the transfer station.
Normally, we
No,
make
there's
money.
not anymore.
I mean, it's.
Question is, are we still making money?
Right, I mean, the
No, we're not.
267 goes down by what you get.
No, but we're not anymore, though.
We're not getting much.
Recyclables was a cash cow for us for years and years and years. It's actually the complete flip. Everything we recycle, we lose money on.
Transfer station comes under Board of Health?
no, highway.
Highway,
It was under
Exactly,
the health, it's on
Joycey.
the highway now.
It's under highway now?
exactly, Joycey.
So,
But it's still separate from what you're thinking.
no, that's fine,
But
but
either way, the point of the story is everything that's recycled, we lose every dollar.
that's a
We
question.
used to make a dollar.
But then, Andy, when you
It's on the
talk,
highway, why is it a separate item? Shouldn't,
because the transfer station was always separate from Board of Health, because we said
No good reason.
they could keep the money and improve the transfer station with it. Like one year, they turned in 70 grand, and they bought a van, so we didn't have to fund it.
this is under Scott's jurisdiction?
Now, transfer is
431
under
waste
Scott.
collection is separate from transfer station.
Yes.
No,
So, trash collection and recycles is under 431.
But the question, Andy, the question I'd like to find out is what are the real numbers for the transfer station? Because if we're charging 20 bucks to dump a TV and it costs us 25, we may want to relook at the prices. I'm not trying to turn this into a money-making profit center, but if the price of poker went up, it went up.
yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Andy might want to check to see if the transfer station needs the bins that the health department wanted us to get.
Why'd you do that?
Okay, Dr. Levine has woken up for the night.
That was sarcasm.
Okay, so we'll leave transfer station to come back in. We won't vote on it.
I don't know.
Or do you want to vote on it?
I'll deal with it in the context.
I know, I want more information on this one.
Well,
Okay.
Scott's gonna come in for highway anyway.
Right, that's what I'm
Just
saying.
add this in with him, yeah.
Okay, the water department,
Mr. Chairman, motion to accept 450-495-528.
I talked to you,
And then,
sir.
and then end at that.
450, please. Water's not ready for.
That's a preliminary, yeah.
All right, 495-528. And then I'll stop at youth services because I'm actually curious about that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I talked to Jen.
495 is the tree department. Chucky is at
495,
proposing 0 increase.
That's just contractual there.
And the inspector of animals is 3%. Any questions? I'm assuming that's contractual because
Yes, it is.
Motion.
Vinnie and, oh, I'm sorry, Michael and Vinnie, all in favor? Sold. Youth services, Chris, you had a question.
No, just it was 5%, sir, and I just didn't want to.
Do we know what?
I was happy to go past it, but I was
David.
curious.
So I talked to the director, Jen, this morning about it, and her explanation was, a lot of it was the Kohler and steps that we just talked about earlier, and another good piece of information was that she didn't add gas or maintenance for the new vehicle that they purchased into her budget. She thinks she can control it under the maintenance budget now, or maybe even use the revolving account, so there was no added operating expense for the purchase of the van. But
That's a good plan.
Yeah, I thought so. too.
I tip my hat to Miss Jen.
Good conversation with her.
Any other questions?
I'd like to amend the, I would like to now approve 542, 543, and 549.
Any questions on youth services? Veterans going down 9%.
The trend there has been that we have not been hitting our budget. So I had a conversation with veteran agent Hilla, asked my advice. He was suggesting upwards of 25%. I did not think that would be appropriate. So I believe that represents 10-ish, at least at the general side.
Yeah, and John Pill has had a material impact on that department, because many years ago, every year, we'd come in with big
Talk about
deficits.
increases of 10%.
And the big thing for us was not trying to save money on the backs of our veterans, but trying to make sure that the veterans got the services they deserved. John Pilla came in, and we went from being 20% short, hundreds of thousands of dollars,
542,
to being level.
549.
So
And
I have no doubt, when he says he's going down, that he'll continue to go down.
As Vinnie, I'm sure will tell you, it's very unpredictable of who you may have to service, if that's the proper term.
Yeah, but I think the point is, before John came, we were nickel and diming our veterans.
Yeah.
And that's something that I don't think any of us here would.
Yeah, I'm trying to portray that we're not cutting to do that again.
Right.
It's just that
Okay, hold on. Vinnie?
I think, I don't know, a lot of the veterans that I know have not been getting the word, number one, who the veteran service officer is. And we do spread the word whenever, certainly I encounter someone like that. So I'm wondering if John is getting the word that there are veterans out there that need certain help. And I can talk with John. If this is final, then it's final for this year. Do we have a total amount of his budget?
It's 266,900, oh, I'm sorry.
That's youth.
370,000, pretty much even, 370K.
I mean, that certainly seems valid to me, but, you know, there's new veterans coming up every year, and we're trying to get them enrolled in the veterans groups so that we can find out certain things, such as what their medical needs might be, right? Other types of needs. You know, I mean,
They should reach out to John no matter what.
yes, but the problem is, a lot of these guys don't know who he is, and we're trying to spread the word.
Yeah.
So.
Paul?
And Chucky, I think that's a phenomenal point, Chucky. And I think maybe we should talk to the IT department or whoever, because I would love you for triple that budget, because that's the only budget in this town that I really don't care how much it is. And
Well, as
you
long
can-
as they're
and you can
getting-
quote me on that, I don't care. And if we need to find out and get John Pilla's name out to more people, then I don't care what it is, I'll wear a billboard, because he has done a phenomenal job with the veterans. And to Vin's point, though, if we need to do more, then we do more. But Vin, you're 100% right. Pilla has done an unbelievable job. But if we need to do more, there's nothing that I won't do. I'll put a sign in my yard, I don't care. But the point is, Vin, you're 100% right on your point. And I completely agree with you.
Paul?
Yeah, just keep in mind, the actual spent last year was 303,000.
Yeah.
So when you look at that first column.
We're actually down.
So this year's budget was almost 100,000 higher than that. That hasn't necessarily materialized, so John has reduced the budget.
Exactly.
There was a
That's
bigger
my
increase when there was more of the veterans coming out of the Middle East and coming home during that particular time. Unemployment was difficult, and those things were going on. The economy's different, not as many looking for jobs. He also directs people to the VA. So the Veterans Administration is responsible if people have health concerns and things like that. So he is a good information source and directs a lot of it to the bigger picture, where the VA has facilities, doctors, and will pay other
Company.
fees if you're disabled and
Company.
things like that. So that's part of what he's involved with. Not necessarily the town is paying for it, they're directing people to the resources the federal government.
Yeah, and I think, Paul, this committee has been
Oh, boy.
100% behind making sure that our veterans get what they're due. So we're not looking to cut money or save money. John Pill has done a great job at redirecting some of the expenses so that we didn't have to bear as much, with the understanding that the veterans still got the care that they deserve. And I think what Chris is saying is dead on nuts, that we're never going to try and cheap out a veteran, not somebody who's put their life on the line for us. Okay, so we have 542, the Utes, 543, the veterans, and
Motion to accept 543 and 549.
so 542, 543, and 549. Lauren and David, all in favor? Sold.
I think the parks, you may want to get that department in here, Mr.
Now, the
Chairman.
parks, here's a question. I think they have to come in, because when I look at 2 years back, they were at in 2023, they were at 767. 2024, they jumped almost $100,000. And I can't remember why. Now, I can understand in 2025, this year's budget, going to 943 if 71,000 was the pool.
Well, remember, when you're talking about that
completely
858, that included like that,
Yep,
2 years ago.
yep.
Last year,
Last year was 858, sorry, right. That was-
without lifeguards.
That's right.
That's what's got me
Yeah.
stumped, Brownie, is
Yeah, I wish I had
2
that.
years ago, 767.
Well, because, so
Yeah,
the
yeah, I
number
understand.
767 is actually expended number, and that was the start of when we closed the pool.
Thank you,
So
sir.
they did have lifeguards built into the budget, and actually the whole pool operation. We just
Didn't
did
even
not
use it.
spend any because the pool was closed. Likewise, this current year, right now, he reduced the pool operation.
Now you see
Not
the increase.
completely, but to about 25%, because I think there was wishful thinking that we could have had a portion of a season. We did not. This year, there likely will be very much the entire season, so we put it back to normal operational levels.
But here's where I'm stuck. 2 years ago, with lifeguards, 767.
That's expended, not budget. So he didn't expend any lifeguards, none.
So last year, or this year,
Way
Off
higher.
the top of my head, no, but higher, yeah.
I'd like him to come in and
No
explain.
problem, no problem.
Because 2 years ago, with lifeguards, 767. This year, without lifeguards, 858. And next year, with lifeguards,
He doesn't have any capital items in there, right? 'Cause we got
there should be no
those.
capital.
No, he does.
David?
Can I, so, putting my development construction hat on, so, do you know where they are with the warrant for the pool?
Al, I have a breakdown here
Something else.
where,
Hold on, Tom.
I'm sorry.
Question.
What was the question?
Do you know how much they've spent against their capital budget project warrant?
So it's ramped up very heavily right now. I don't have it off the top of my
I
head.
think,
No, it's an
The only reason I ask is because typically, usually you can roll, and I don't know if we can do it here or not,
Yeah.
you roll some of these first-year operating expenses into that capital budget. Is that possible to do, like some of the new employees and
None
new
of the
new costs?
employees, no.
Can't do that?
I think he has expended about $1 million of the 4.6, I believe it is. I think he's got about $1 million spent, mostly on design expenses.
Do we know how that's coming in?
What do you
Do we
mean?
know how that cost is coming in? Are they in budget, within
Yeah.
budget?
Oh, yeah.
You gonna give anything back to the town?
Ronnie, you had a
Probably,
comment?
well, Again, I'm not prepared with exact.
Premature to say
Thank you.
that.
Al, back in FY '23,
Yep.
his personal services was $513,000.
Okay.
In FY '24, it went up to $604. So that's a $92,000
But
increase.
again, it's expended versus budget. Why do you save this conversation?
Okay.
When you bring in?
But when he comes in, that's the first question I'm going to ask is 767 with lifeguards, 858 without lifeguards, it just seems like we're double adding.
If he's not listening tomorrow, I'll explain to him exactly what you're looking for. A 3-year analysis on it.
Mr. Chairman, you're 100% right, and I think he needs to answer that question because it doesn't make any sense to us, so let's just have him come in and have it make sense. And I have a funny feeling he's going to have a great answer for it, but
Okay, as we roll down, Historical Commission,
motion to accept 691, 710, 751, 752, and I'd like to say 912, but I will not.
okay, let's go to 691, Historical Commission, 0%. Maturing debt, 0%. How is that possible?
I'm sorry, I was calling.
Maturing debt, 0%. No change at all.
So no debt's falling off, that's the principal component of it.
Oh, okay.
The first year we haven't had that happen in a long time.
Long-term interest is going down 11%, so that's what's falling off.
Yes.
Okay. And interest short-term, 0%. Any questions on those four?
Motion.
Michael and Vinnie. All in favor? Unanimous, sold. Now, I have a yellow highlight on fringe benefits and workman's comp because it was going from 400 to 440, but Zach, you said that may change.
Yes. So we've been budgeting 400 for a number of years now, and it's come in typically below that. You can see from the 2023 expended was 385,000. However, this year, right now, every year we have an audit with comp, so everything's estimated and it's based on what your payroll is. There's different factors for different safety levels. For instance, a highway worker will be a higher premium than Tom and I sitting in an office, potentially getting a paper cut. So they come in, they do an audit of your actual payroll, and in this particular year, we owed, sometimes we get a refund, sometimes we pay a little additional premium. This particular year, we owed $40,000. That's based on our payroll performance. As you can see from the trend of what you're looking at for budgets, payroll's not going down. If anything, it's going up. So we believe that $440,000 will be a proper number for this year, and keep that into consideration when we do. This is kind of a perfect classic example of the additional indirect costs associated with
New hires.
headcount. Yeah.
Now, 440, you say this year, you mean coming up, next year's budget?
And this year, right now.
So we're going to actually spend 440.
Yes, however, because it's resulting from a prior year's audit, I have a funding source that we're not using this particular budget.
So it'll be 0% increase on this budget? 440 this year, 440 for the coming year?
If you look at it that way, yes, but it is a 10% increase, if you know what.
Okay.
I'm not increasing the current year's budget.
Oh, okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, any of our employees who have gotten married, who have had kids, who we've hired, that's where this all comes from right there. And that's what we've always said, that the addition of any Milford employee, and Mr. Chairman, you've been 100% on this, that if we hire someone for $50,000, they do not cost us $50,000.
It costs us
You know-
$75,000.
Exactly. And this is a direct relation to that. So the point is, but now that $50,000 employee decided to get married. Good for them. Awesome. Then that $50,000 employee decided to have a kid. Or any employee that has happened to be hired within us.
That's the health insurance side.
Yep.
This is complementary.
This is workers' comp.
This is workman's comp.
Employees.
I apologize.
Now, under,
My fault.
I have a question
Sorry.
before we
Everything
vote.
Except for the married and kids.
Thank
we
you.
vote
No,
on
but Zach, you're
912,
right. My
913.
fault. My fault.
913 is
I was looking at
unemployment
914.
compensation. Now, we pay dollar for dollar. I mean, anybody in industry knows you pay a percentage into a pool, and you draw on that pool. Municipal, we pay nothing. But every time somebody draws on unemployment, at the end of the quarter, we get a bill dollar for dollar. Who have we laid off that we paid $200,000 for?
So we haven't hit 200,000, but again, if you look back at the
85,000.
it was 85 in 23, it was 26 in 22, it was 188,000 in 21, but that was following the pandemic there. Most of these costs are at the school department, where it can be a revolving door with like TAs and BAs, your behavioral assistants, teacher assistants and whatnot. So that's pretty much where it's coming from. And it doesn't have to be a direct layoff to be eligible for these benefits. It would be terminations and whatnot. So I don't have the exact details, just
Okay.
some of the experience.
Well, that makes more sense, because I don't remember any wholesale layoffs. Paul, one thing to put on your list, not urgent, but in the past, back again, 2004, when people were getting laid off, everybody assumed you lay somebody off, you save the money. And we found out that you had to lay off 1.6 people because of the unemployment insurance to get the effect of 1. Could you find out what that number is now? Because I'm using a number that's 20 years old. It may be the same, but I'd just like an updated number to find out, because if we ever do talk, and I was really happy that the school committee was talking about no layoffs, that they were going to hit the 6.5% that we asked them to without layoffs. But I brought up the fact that if they did ever lay off people, it's not one for one. You know, somebody that gets laid off that's making 80 grand, you don't save 80 grand because they go on unemployment for 6 months or whatever. So I would like to know that number just for future planning purposes. Not that we're thinking of laying anybody off. It's just an updated number. And health insurance.
So, Mr. Chairman, I thought one, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Did we vote?
No, we haven't voted on 12, 13, or 14.
Oh, I thought we were just doing 12 and 13.
We just talked about it.
So, Mr. Chairman, I thought on 914, which I thought was 912. I'm sorry, I lost track of the numbers. So everything I just said like 30 seconds ago, I meant for 914. I sincerely apologize. I lost track of the numbers because of what we were doing, so I do apologize for that.
Is it
I'm
still
sorry.
onerous to break out 914 by department?
Yes.
That's no, it's not onerous. It's impossible.
Okay.
And Al, on your earlier comment about sustainability, I'd point out that the 2-year increase in health insurance is about 16%.
Yep. Health insurance has always been the one that could sink a year,
It'll sink every
and there's almost nothing we can do.
Again, expended versus budget too. That is one of those budgets that's extremely hard to budget for, So we always err on the side of caution, knowing that it'll come back in the form of free cash.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question on that? So, I'm trying to figure out how this works with, there's employee contributions, right?
Yes.
Is this gross without employee contributions?
Only the
Yeah,
town-
without them.
Only the town's portion.
This is the down portion, right?
Yeah.
So
This
there's a-
also has, as you mentioned earlier, sorry, the $600,000 for the OPEB contribution.
Are not.
Health, life, dental, Medicare, that's in
Exactly.
there too.
Are not.
And the couple of the smaller programs we have.
Yeah, remember, when, like, teachers retire, it's always, well, we don't have to pay their retirement fund because that's taken care of by OBRA, their version. We still pay their medical.
Exactly.
Right. That-
So, I mean, as somebody retires, we could still be on the hook for 20 grand a year forever.
Retirees
But
also.
our net burden is less than the 16.6 number here, right?
Not that much, to be honest
My
with you.
understanding is the 16 is our
That's
net.
ours.
Oh, that's ours?
Exactly.
That's after their,
It's a couple bucks maybe, David, but no,
Employees' contributions.
that's our nut.
there's 20-some million of total.
That's what, okay.
But then
That's what I was
you
trying to
take
get to.
and net out
It
what
is
the
a couple
employees
bucks,
pay.
but no.
That's why years ago, we went from paying 90% to 70,
Yeah.
and it really saved us a lot of money.
Exactly. Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
912, 913, 914. Motion,
I'll make a motion.
Vinnie and David, all in favor? Sold. Now, I have one more to add.
What was the vote on water department? I missed that.
Hold.
Passed over,
All right.
Not finalized budget.
passed over.
Now, library came in to the Capitol meeting this evening, and somehow they submitted their proposed budget, but it didn't get to us today. They are proposing to go up 2.8%. That's all in, everything. I don't think we need to bring them back to talk about 2.8%.
No,
That's the
their
numbers,
their
Chairman.
general expense was going up 0.7%.
They flatlined their general and contractual.
Contractual obligations,
Dogs and
Mr.
cats and
Chairman.
everything built into one, 2.8%.
That's
Ain't
right.
what that new employee.
And they do meet the MAR requirement with this increase, so there's no threat to qualification.
Decertified.
It's remained certified.
Any other questions on that?
Contractual obligations, Mr. Chairman.
Motion
Motion.
by Michael. David, second. All in favor? Sold. Now, I will put together the list of the holds and get them to everybody and copy the, if you're a department chair, department subcommittee chair of people like fire, Andy, town planner, then I'm leaving it up to you to contact the department head. We'll pick a night for the next meeting, but guys, I think we got it down to half a dozen departments to go review from 30. Now, there may be some extras that come in over the next few days, but thank you.
It's a great job, Mr. Chairman, getting all that stuff down. I mean, you just took the bulk of the budget in one meeting. Great job.
Okay, the next item, invitation to speak. We have one possibility to speak, and Harold doesn't want to speak. Okay?
Set it up already.
No, but I think it's a statement from our committee that we want to encourage people who have questions to come to the meetings and ask.
Not unless they have a good haircut.
Sorry, Harold.
Well, I didn't know that was a rule, but okay, now that I know, Chris.
You will come in with a clean cut next time. You know that. You know that.
Okay, next question that's come up is the posting of subcommittees and contact information. This is something that we can do, but we don't have to. But I've had a number of people come to me and say, I don't know who to call if I have a question on school, if I have a question on dogs, if I have a question on cats. So one of the questions was, should we post, you know that one sheet I do that says each department and who's the subcommittee chair? First stage, should we post that on the town website?
Were those inquiries coming from town employees or public?
Public.
Okay.
Paul?
So and I'm not on any of those people to be called list, but why wouldn't they call the department head? All those departments are all listed on the town website. If you have a question with a dog, there's people that are making the salary, we just saw what the salaries are. If there's questions about whatever else it is, they should be talking, and that way, instead of one of our members here being the monkey in the middle, they can talk to the people who set the policy and make the decisions, unless it's budgetary.
Well, I think
questions.
the concern is if they want to question something that a department's doing or spending, they feel more comfortable going to a third party. David?
I don't have a problem posting it under the Finance Committee where the list of
Okay.
committee members are.
Any other?
I mean, if they have questions, they should show up at our meetings. I don't know if I want to start taking random phone calls on XYZ line item on a budget. Do you?
Exactly, Andy.
No one calls me,
Andy,
so
department
No
head.
one calls you
if I can
now.
talk to somebody,
You want it? I can give him my phone number, and you guys can start taking the phone calls I get if you guys want them.
Have fine posted.
What contact medium would you be posting these names with?
What?
Email or
Well, that's the
phones?
second question. If we post that sheet that I have, all it has is your name, doesn't have any contact information.
oh, really?
You really should have contact. I mean, we
So-
all have town email addresses.
I would say I'd feel comfortable posting, not every member, but the subcommittee chair, the town email address. I don't know that you have to post the phone number, because a lot of times people don't want their private phone numbers being. Yeah.
Well, why don't we just have them contact the chair directly, and then you can delegate who it goes to?
Why don't we just have all the calls go to Dave Levine, and then
Coordinator.
What's that?
you're the volunteer
Guys,
coordinator.
David, I'm not trying to be a jerk,
Yes, sir.
but you're 100% right. And I served in that chair, and I sat in that chair, and I'm not putting it on Al's lap. But the point is, I'm sorry, Mike Nicholson should be getting a call at 10 o'clock about the highway department. Andy should not be getting a call at 6 o'clock about there's potholes. I'm sorry.
But we don't want Al to have to do that either.
No, then give them, then Al, you know me, and you know I'm a glutton for punishment, and plus they don't want to call me anyway because they know the answers. Give them my number. But my point is, no one of these, I mean, listen, guys, we're volunteer committee members. None of us get paid. David, I'm
Do
sorry.
you? Time served.
Okay, guys.
My point is, you guys should not be getting calls about the fact that a substitute teacher didn't show up, or that there's a pothole on Central Street, or that no one is showing up to work at Vernon Grove.
I would hope you wouldn't get those type of calls.
Well,
Well, let me tell you, I sat where Al's sitting, and Al knows this. You get every single one of those calls. You guys do not want those. And I'm trying to save you. And I'm not putting it in Al's lap because, Al, you give him my phone number. But my point is, that is the pleasure of the chair. You get those phone calls. I'm sorry, because I did get when someone did not mow in front of my mother's grave on Vernon Grove, and Al knows this.
Orchard Street.
Doesn't matter, Al knows this. You guys think it's crazy. Until you sat in the chair that Al is sitting right now, people call you and tell you that their mother's grave was not mowed properly.
How did
This
you
man
answer?
this man gets those calls. I got those calls for the 6 years I was chairman. I'm telling you, you do not want those calls. And I'm asking the chairman to please do not put that on his members. And I'm asking him not to take it on himself. I am volunteering to be the Joycey, help me. Joycey, you're good with words. The guinea pig. I will be the
Liaison.
verbal liaison. Thank you, David, to speak to the public. Because listen to me, Vinny, you do not want someone to call you and tell you that the trash wasn't picked up on Tuesday. Because Al gets that call. Al gets that call.
I mean, I'm with deference to the chair, but didn't we already just say town email? That's a 24-hour thing. You just check it at your convenience. You answer it if it's urgent. You don't if you don't. But I mean, you can have an automatic reply that says, If you have a question, come to the meeting. Like, you could craft it however you want to. You are a volunteer, let's acknowledge it. But to make it seem like it's going to be a huge hassle to have residents ask questions.
I didn't
And I appreciate.
mean it
saying
that way.
I've chaired a committee, I know what it's like. Believe me, I'm no longer chairing for that reason. I get it, but email is a 24-hour thing. It makes us more accessible.
Lauren, I didn't, and I sincerely apologize to meaning that it came out
Yeah,
that
right.
way. But Lauren,
Okay, guys, so we're okay with putting our names. Do we want to put individual emails or just mine?
put mine on.
I'm deferring. I don't.
I'll put my name on and put Chris's liaison.
Yep, I'll take care of it.
Well, Brent's assistant.
I think.
You guys should not have to worry about
Hold on,
this.
guys.
I think it should be either all or nothing.
What's the pleasure of the committee?
I say no. We are an advisory financial
I-
board. We can't
I'm-
control all these
I,
other things.
I mean, Mike,
Chris makes a good point. I mean, I'll just defer. I don't, doesn't
Michael.
matter.
No.
No.
Yeah.
One yes. Chris?
No.
yeah, my concern is I couldn't even keep up with all the emails I was getting today from all of you people. I was trying to work for a living, so I guess my answer is no.
Joyce? No. Okay, so only my email goes up
And mine.
and Chris's liaison.
I wouldn't even put those on.
No.
Well, I
Put
think
mine
you
on.
got to give them something, somewhere to,
Well, yeah, we already have the department heads.
Well, what
The guys responsible for addressing these phone calls.
you could have a general finance committee box. I don't want to dump it on these guys, but then they could shuffle it to the appropriate people.
But if-
Oh, I definitely
if the
think
question's
Paul should
concerning
take care of
finance-
everything.
okay.
All right, here's a compromise idea.
Guys, hold on.
Did you put, I don't think you've ever put anything in there about invitation to speak. Could you maybe put a little blurb that if anybody has a
Sure.
question that they want to address to the board, they could attend invitation to speak? That would be the compromise, maybe?
Sounds good. Okay, we'll move on. Grant couldn't make it tonight. Do you want to give an update on Countryside, or you're not?
Sure. We've heard nothing from Countryside Management. I'm not aware of any efforts being undertaken by them to sell the facility, arrange alternative financing, or to implement an orderly closure. I think this is going to come to a head this year. People have talked about wind-down money that they might need. They have the wind-down money today.
Yes.
If they are going to wind down that nursing home, they're not going to sell it, which we've asked them to do for 2 years. They need to do the wind down now. If they come to the general town meeting or the special town meeting in October, after they're out of money and run the risk that the town refuses to give additional funding, that would not be a responsible thing for them to do.
Yep.
And that burden should not be on us to feel that we have to then bail them out. If the Blair House ran out of money tomorrow and they had to do an orderly closure, you know what they'd get from the town of Milford? Zero. This should be no different. We had no obligation to provide any funding to Countryside in the first instance, but we've already put 16 million into it, much of which we may never see again. You talked about the $1 million we're saving on the hydrants. We're going to lose that $1 million in bond payments for the next 12 years because of the poor decision that was made 20 years ago to take on these bonds.
No question.
Well, I'd like to invite Countryside to our next meeting.
You're here.
One of the issues we're going to have to face is lacking any information from them. I'm going to suggest that we reserve $2.5 million in our budgeting process.
No.
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 Mr. Chairman, if I may. There will be a article at this annual town meeting, and the ask will be $1 million.
Yep, too bad.
That's what I've been.
How do you know that? They came too?
I've spoken to them.
But if they
Don't come.
put an article for $1 million, right now, they're still losing 200 plus a month. $1 million will take them 5 months if they don't get the grant in time, and that means come October, they're out of money again. My point is, let's not budget the full, I mean, police want things, fire wants things, everybody wants things. I don't know that we can budget all of those.
I went
If they're
there
going,
soon. Chris
if they're going to have an article, why would we get involved at all?
Chris
Because
wants
it's up to the article and whatever amount they want to put in the article. I don't see why we should be doing any
Source
supplemental.
of funding.
Absolutely screwed.
They put in,
That's what the article is for, source of funding, to get money.
so if they put in an article, and
Too bad.
source of funding is raise and appropriate, what do we do?
Too bad.
No, I understand, Chris, but let's face it. If town meeting approved them getting $1 million, and there's a risk that they could need another $1 million, because I keep hearing that things are going to get better.
Then I lay off firefighters, I lay
Please,
off
Chris,
policemen, I lay
hold
off
on.
teachers.
Before we jump to that, I think we have to be prudent in our budgeting to say, there could be another $1 million request, because I hear they're going to lose less than $100,000 a month. I haven't seen it. For $5 million of capital, of money so far, it's still staying, the last number I heard was 200,000+ a month.
Mr. Chairman, just doing the math, so could they come back in October? Is that the next fall time? And that's for another $1 million, right?
Yes.
That's probably their play.
Well, whatever the play is.
Their play isn't $1 million, their play is $2 million.
That's what I'm saying, $1 million now and $1 million in October.
Let everybody finish. But that's my point. If we budget full out, and they come back in the fall and say, we tried our best, we need another $1 million.
Right, that's my point.
We better have a source of funding for that extra $1 million. Lauren?
I thought where Andy was going was he was going to suggest a FinCom article. Alternative to that, I thought, if I remember correctly from when town council came before us to talk about this issue, we have one bite at the apple in terms of your introductory remarks.
Yes.
And so you could frame the subcommittee's argument in advance before the article gets presented at the top of the town meeting.
I agree 100%. My point was, if I frame something and it's not accepted, we still have exposure of $2.4 million. And I just don't want to run into the fall and have them come back and say, we tried our best, we've burnt through the $1 million you gave us in 5 months, because for the past, how many years, it's stayed at 200,000. So I'm just worried that come fall, they'll come back. Now, if in May, town meeting says no more, we've got an $11 million loan out that we're going to be paying. We got $5 million that we've given them already. And if we continue, we're going to have to make some decisions to say, yeah, we wanted more police officers. Yeah, we wanted more firefighters. Yes, we wanted more of this. Can't have both unless we go and raise taxes.
It just seems if you reserve $2.5 million or whatever, then the money's going to be there. And they can.
I'm not saying reserve it. I'm just saying don't budget. If we have a $161 million budget 159 something. Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I think, I don't want to speak for the full committee, but I think we know how we feel about this. And quite honestly, we've been going around circles with empty chairs and they're not here. I think the next conversation we should have on this subject is when they're here, because, we're just talking to ourselves, to tell you the truth.
I don't think they're coming.
You goddamn
wouldn't
right
lo- I
there.
wouldn't
now.
We shouldn't be
Sleep over
talking
that.
about it anymore.
You're goddamn right,
No,
I think we just have to plan for what our agenda is going to be for the town meeting.
Right.
We've just been told there's going to be an article. We're going to oppose the article,
Right.
and away we go. The only question is Al's question about what we put in the budget.
I don't understand the 159 to 161 though point, though. Are we
Okay,
we
if
taking out $2
we
million?
budget zero for countryside,
Right.
and let's say town meeting comes back and gives them $1 million, do we believe that that $1 million is going to carry them for at least a year?
Don't care.
Probably not.
Right.
Don't care.
Because we've already believed for $5 million, and it's been 200,000, 2.4 million a year. Come the fall, when they come in and say, we did our best, we're out of money, we need another $1 million something, where does that money come from?
Right.
That was my point. Zach, you had a...
Yeah, I just want to explain, relay the logic behind 1 million and not a bigger number. So you may recall that we had hired an accountant filled out the paperwork for the Employee Retention Tax Credit, ERTC. We had received one half of that. The other half was held up because they delayed the program because there was so much fraud going on. Not here, just in general with the federal government fraud. It's part of the ARPA bill. They anticipate, they're working with one of the congressmen, they anticipate that they will have that additional $1 million between now and sometime after town meeting. I would think they believe it's before the October meeting. So hence the $1 million asked from the town, and they anticipate $1 million from the ERTC. That's why it's only.
So they're expecting to lose another 2 million, which makes sense.
Yeah, I think I also strongly, I spoke this week, I strongly advised that they get in front of the committee to David's point, and I had agreement, so I do think, keep at it, you can get them in here. They're working on a budget, as I'm told, I haven't seen it yet, that they're anticipating $130,000 per month.
Yeah, and Paul, when I say it makes sense, I'm not saying the investment makes sense. I'm just saying how they're going to survive 1 year on $1 million doesn't make sense. But if they're counting on $1 million plus from the grant, plus the $1 million from town meeting, then that line of $2.5 million, it's the same as it's always been.
But, whether the loss is 2.5 million or 2 million or in the mid to high ones, does it make a difference? Our position is pretty been unanimous twice, that we're providing no more funding. Whether they come in or not, does it make a difference? I'm not sure it does. Zach, have you heard anything from them on a sale? Nothing.
But again, it's not on a sale.
Okay, well, let me go through the other. Have you heard anything from them on alternative financing?
No,
Have you heard anything from them on orchestrating an orderly closure in compliance with state law?
can't say I have.
0 for 3, Al.
No, I'm okay. I've been thrown back at me that the FinCom is demanding they sell.
No.
We have never said that. I've gone on record, the FinCom's gone on record saying, we want to stop the hemorrhaging.
Yes.
How you do it, we trust in their ability.
And spending 35 years in the troubled business industry, those are the 3 options.
Well, Chris Moore in Precinct 5 knows how to stop the bleeding. There's no more funding for Milford Geriatric.
And I mean, that's a legitimate issue because, again, we want more police officers, or the police chief is asking for more. Fire chief is brought up that he's rolling ladder 1 with 1 firefighter, and he wants more.
Yep.
You start adding all this in, I mean, Central Street, we want more. So the capital budget, the operational budget is going to be stretched.
We want a new high school. We want to better our infrastructure here. We want better roads.
That's my point.
I mean, because it's a,
This year, we have to make some hard decisions.
And look at 2026, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, God.
Exactly, Mr.
$7
Chairman.
million coming our way in interest payments for the high school.
This is a catastrophe upon catastrophe
Okay.
if this continues.
So, next meeting, well, wait a minute, we're not done yet. Update by the finance director. Anything that you need to add?
I think I've added it through the past
2 hours.
half.
Okay, so any future agenda items?
Can we talk about subcommittees for a minute?
Sure.
Subcommittee reports. I think that on this whole sustainability issue, we need to start thinking outside of the box a little bit on some of the committee spending and not just assume that everything is going to be the way it was last year, plus whatever else people need. For example, I met with the fire chief and then with the police chief, and just to give you an idea of some of the things I've been talking to them about, subject to our subcommittee meetings. In the case of the fire department, I raised the issue of the medical calls. Medical calls now make up 80% of what our fire department responds to. Now, I would have never imagined, before I'd gotten on this finance committee, that if I called 911, somehow it was the town fire department coming to my aid. Now, if you hurt yourself at home and you drive yourself to Milford Hospital, that becomes a financial issue between who? Between you, Milford Hospital, and your insurance company, if you're insured, or it's Medicaid, or Medicare, right, if it's the government. But somehow, if you instead call 911, the town of Milford turns into a free at-home medical provider for every single citizen in Milford. So I raised the question, can we charge for the EMT visits? Now, just so it's clear, everyone charges for ambulances. Well, I'll get to ambulances in a minute. Many towns have their own ambulance system. We contract it out. So if there's transport, the ambulance company or the town, in the case of the town-run ambulance, they charge, and they charge a hefty bill. But there's no charge for the EMT service. I asked town council, I asked the fire chief, nobody knew the answer to the question of whether we could charge. All the people could tell me is that they weren't aware of other towns charging. But today, I spoke to a Blue Cross representative who told me that it's absolutely an insurable event from their standpoint, and it can be paid by Blue Cross. And then we spoke to a Medicare representative, and we were told that, yes, unless it's a frivolous or trivial medical incident, Medicare will charge for it. So I think it's a fair question for the 4,000 medical calls that we're getting every year, whether the fire department has a right to charge for these services to defray some of the costs that we're incurring. I think we at least should ask the question. The second question is ambulance service. The town of Franklin has a larger fire department than ours, and their net fire department budget is substantially less than ours. And part of that is because all the reimbursements for ambulance. Now, I'm not saying we should convert tomorrow, but what I'm saying is I think it is definitely worth the look for us to figure out what the capital outlay would be to acquire the ambulances and to run that service versus what the reimbursement charge would be. So I think we should look at those. We'll give you a chance, Chris.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know me. My emotions, I can never handle them. I'm sorry, buddy.
So I think that those are at least two fair questions in connection with the fire department. With respect to the police department, you know, they've got issues about personnel, whether they get additional personnel or whatnot. I told the chief that, you know, when we first started the special ops program 7 years ago, we agreed that we would revisit it after 5 years. We've never revisited. I think it's a fair topic of conversation, how much we're spending on the special ops. I think they have a $400,000 or $500,000 equipment bill coming up this year for that item. If people remember, that whole thing just kind of blew through the Finance Committee and the town meeting 7 years ago with really no debate at all. It was kind of done in an emotional atmosphere, which is never a good way to make decisions. I think in the cool, logical sense, we need to look at that, evaluate the cost benefit. What are other communities doing? What is the real benefit we're deriving? How is the police department using those forces? So I just think that these are the kinds of things we need to be looking at in all of our departments, because to Al's earlier point and Zach's point, if these departments with their COLAs and step-ups and longevity and everything else are going at 6-7% a year, and the tax base is going at 3% a year, guess what? It's just a matter of time before you either get to layoffs or you get to the fight over Prop 2.5.
Well, just a side note, we have, from the capital standpoint, the only capital planning that the police have submitted are 3 years of $42,000 to replace the tasers.
Yeah, this was listed in the preliminary budget that I saw as part of this year's
I'm just
regular
saying,
operating.
we have nothing in the budget except $42,000 and $30,000 worth of carpet.
Yeah. I had seen a very large increase from them in the first draft of the budget, but I understand from Zach that's being modified, so I don't know what the ultimate number is.
We have nothing except
I'm not at that level yet, we're working on it.
Okay.
72 grand is what we had, and that's before we knew about $1.3 million of Central Street Bridge and 400,000 of Water Street. So capital is in jeopardy this year across the board. One, because of all the extras, and two, we don't know what we're going to do with Countryside. Because if you put $2.5 million or $1 million or whatever, that's what I mean by holding back. If we put all that in, we don't have enough. We have 1.75 million total for capital.
Andy, that was an excellent report. My question is, a general question, what would be the next step and who would conduct it, do you think? What group would explore that?
That's a good question, because, I mean, we don't have the ability to impose these things on departments, but, I'd like to see some cost-benefit analysis done. In the case of the EMT, frankly, I would just say, start doing it, but, I don't know what the mechanics of that would be.
I
Consultant.
think if you started, yeah, but hold on, start with, 10 years ago, we did a thorough, I think it was under, I can't remember who the chief was. It was before TUI Rev 1.
It was 20 years ago.
It was a 20?
Yeah.
Because
Plus.
Before we went to community ambulance.
when, was it Taddy?
Caddy.
I think it
Before we
was
went to
under
community
Caddy.
ambulance.
Look at ambulance service.
That he had a
Exactly.
full evaluation. I would start there as a framework to say, okay, what is it that we expect to get and how would we do it? Could be a full-time position for somebody.
Well, that prior report has not been offered to us yet, but, I guess, yeah,
No,
we
but
should
let's face
find
it, Chief Nelson's been upfront with us, whatever we needed.
Yep.
So I have no doubt at all from prior working with him that he would be cooperative. He may not agree with what we
He may
have.
not even be, I don't even know if he's aware of that prior report,
Yeah.
or maybe at the age of it.
He was there.
He was there? Okay.
He worked as a fireman.
He was a firefighter then.
Maybe the age of it is the reason he's questioning how useful it would be
Well,
at this
no,
time.
I'm not questioning the numbers or whatever, but the framework of how they went about evaluating
Yeah.
may be worthwhile starting with.
Yeah, well, I mean, his initial reaction was that we would need to hire a consultant to do the cost-benefit analysis.
And again, let's take it from there.
Yeah.
And that was what was done 20 years ago. At some point, not exactly, but some point.
But I mean, to Mike's
figured out this doesn't
very
worth
good
the money.
question, on these policy decisions, whether it's ambulance or charging EMT, I don't know who pulls the trigger on that. Is it the select board? I don't.
Certainly, any fee-related revenue
Selectmen.
would certainly be the selectmen for sure.
Yeah. So I think these are the kinds of things that at least.
But
we
again,
explore.
going to the select board saying, we'd like to explore, not, we want to do it, we don't want to do it.
Agreed.
We would like to explore what the options are. I think you'd get a favorable recommendation from them.
It seems like Andy has done a lot of serious research on this. Would Andy consider doing a presentation to the select board to get the ball rolling
I would be happy to talk to them.
during one of their regular meetings, I mean?
I thought you were about to put a much heavier burden on me, so.
No, just one meeting,
Have you,
get the ball
one second,
rolling.
have you ever heard about the nose of the camel?
Oh, yes, yes.
I think he just put your nose in the tent.
We talked
Hey,
about
Mr.
it.
Chairman, I want to apologize because Andy knows how vocal I am. He sees me all meeting. I'm crazy. I'm sorry that I was shaking my hand.
No.
I didn't, you know me, I'm
An
not.
unrelated
Hold
question
on,
on
Paul.
Yeah, if I can find a copy of that ambulance, there was
Please.
an official, somebody was hired, they looked into, because then once you.
It costs us way more.
You have to have the manning of it, and then that triggers all the different.
Should be in the ambulance
And it
business,
triggers,
just
I
like it should
remember
be
when
in
we
the
went over, it
geriatric
triggers the
business.
exposure and extra insurance. It's not,
We're a community that does have an ambulance service in town, where some towns don't, so within a few minutes, you have an ambulance.
it's not something you're going to go over in a night
Time, it's about
and
cost.
decide yes or no. This could take Andy a year to flesh out.
I agree.
You want me to post it on our drive or something?
Yes.
Or circulate it? If I can find it, I'll scan it.
Yes, because, I mean, we may get some people like Lauren, hello, to look it over and
You know,
have
I
an
was
opinion.
going to say, since you pointed to me, that, when you're talking about comparing ambulance expenses versus SWAT team expenses, and the big discussion at the time was, God forbid, if there was an incident in the school, we want our own SWAT team. But the thing is, with the type of weaponry that gets used, you're going to have a bunch of dead children, I'm not trying to offend anybody, before the SWAT team would even show up to respond. I would prefer, if I had a choice, to make sure that we had quick-acting ambulance service, however that's formatted, because that's not based on fear, that's based on reality. People get sick, people have heart attacks. I would like to see less people die because the ambulance didn't get there in time, as opposed to a hypothetical.
And again, the only thing I would say is let's not mix the two.
Interesting.
Exactly, I
It's not-
agree, but since he did bring up those two things.
Bring
I'm
this
just-
up as a separate project on its own, Then if you decide not to go
Yeah,
forward
over
with
40
it,
did.
you're done. If you decide to go forward with it, then the question comes up, how do you fund it, where do you fund it?
Yeah.
Because
My good friend Chris here said we shouldn't be in the ambulance business, just like we shouldn't be in the geriatric business. Fair question. But the ambulance business, you might actually make money, as opposed to countryside, which is a one-way direction for dollars.
let's continue.
This is called a callback.
Anything else, Michael?
Yeah, I have kind of a general budgeting question for Zachary. With the aggregation plan that is underway right now by the town administrator, as far as, this is the electricity billing through a group billing for the town of Milford to reduce the cost of residents, the cost per kilowatt hour. Will town facilities benefit from that aggregation plan, or are they separate from that? Where if you drop if I, as a resident, drop my cost by 20% per kilowatt hour, will town facilities also benefit from that, or are they separate?
I honestly don't know the answer to that. Yeah, we do contract it, but I don't know the answer.
We'll put it on the next meeting.
Yeah.
That could be a serious number.
The other thing,
Rick, he'll be at the next meeting. Please ask again.
the other thing I want to ask for the next meeting is MWRT, LMNOP.
We have not seen them in a long time, Mr. Chairman. What a great point.
I mean, last I knew, we were spending $250,000 a year. I haven't heard word one as to one person on the bus a day, 1,000 people on the bus a day. I
Yep.
think we're due a report.
Well, there's a committee still listed on the town website, but I don't know if there's anybody on it.
No, I'll take responsibility for it because I was the chairman when it came together, and I know that I obviously have not followed it through with it, but I totally
think
agree with the
we're-
chairman. We
we're
need to
negligent if
figure
we
this
don't ask
out.
the question.
I totally agree with you, Mr. Chairman, 100%. Because I watch those buses going around, and unfortunately, we're not unringing a bell, Mr. Chairman. But at least I just know how bad our bell got rung by this whole situation. So,
Well, I
no,
think
you're
it's
right,
fair to
Mr.
say-
Seriously.
All interested parties, we're going to discuss it, come on down.
Yep.
And I remember when the last meeting, we had both glass windows full of little faces,
Yep.
and my daughter leading the charge.
Yep.
And
Is there any school buses?
no, a
No.
lot of the special needs
Public
kids
bus.
came that night,
URT.
MWRTA.
do the MWRT bus.
That green and white bus that.
Oh, that the senior center uses.
Who does that come under?
That's, yeah.
I guess it comes under Chris now.
Well, I guess I'll take that
I
on.
believe it is
Because
pretty
let me tell you,
well
the
used,
comprehensive
but we just
plan was a
need to know.
wonderful meeting the other night. Thank you very
I'm
much
not
for that.
against it at all. I just, if it's still $250,000, I think it's worth us spending more than once every 5 years looking at it.
Chris, you might want to check with the town administrator, because he may be the one overseeing whoever's responsible.
It's Scott Christopholi.
Oh, good.
I don't know if he's
I
still
need to write
involved in
that
that or
down.
not. 'cause his
No, he
name
is.
His name is not on the,
Okay, let's leave it with Chris.
But either way, Mr. Nicholson, I'll
Now,
be
the
happy to
next
take care of
meeting,
that for
do we
you.
want to wait a week, 2 weeks?
I think you need more than that.
Fire is 320 and police is 328, just FYI.
And I got general government who is going to reach out to me this Friday to find out to meet for their meetings. So to Andy's point, I don't think any meeting can be too quick.
Question,
2
Andy.
weeks would be ideal.
you
I think that's a
changed
great
from
idea,
19 and
sir.
20th?
So the 28th is that
No,
meeting?
the 20th is for fire, Vinnie. The 28th will be
I
for...
did see 19 and 20. Now it's changed.
I may have been asking people 19th or the 20th, which day works for them.
No, I
Okay.
think it's one of the two. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're
All
right.
right, so 20 and 28.
I'll send you a text.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think 2 weeks would probably be a great date at that point, because I know general government was finalizing this. I talked to Rick, and he's going to do that. I know Andy was talking to the fire and police chief, and he's meeting with them on the 20th, and
Well, when do we need to have this wrapped up? Because 2 weeks would be the 27th, and the police is the following night.
So we would look at the first week of April.
Is that okay?
I say 3 weeks, and you're right. You're right. No, you're right. 3 weeks.
We'll
No,
have the
no,
whole
no, no,
warrant.
no, no, 3 weeks.
We have to schedule 2 meetings that week.
No, I think 3 weeks. Andy's right, 3 weeks.
Yeah, we'll wait 3 weeks
We
and
can discuss last night, Michael.
Or,
I mean, unless you wanted to try to knock some other things
I was
out.
going to say, or maybe we could have,
You can do it all in one meeting, Mr. Chairman.
well, we did do a lot tonight.
That's my point. And I think you can knock everything else in the other one meeting. I think if you
When do we
waited
get the
3
warrant?
meetings, 3 weeks, you could do everything.
Is warrant technically closed?
Until the 25th.
The warrant is
25th.
never technically
Well,
closed.
technically, it is closed. Practically, it's different.
Practically.
Okay. Let me put together
3
a
weeks.
proposal and see, because a lot of it is, I like using this room,
So you're right.
because that way
2 weeks there, that gives us
Comcast,
another
not
week.
Comcast,
So if 3
Milford
weeks, we can clear up
TV is all set
everything.
up.
Fire, police,
And we've been
parks.
told that
I have
we
general
give plenty of
government
notice,
2 weeks from now.
Chris will get us Zoom.
And we should be able to get Zoom too.
Anything else? Harold, you're the only one here from the public, so you said you didn't want to speak?
The only last thing, Mr. Chairman, I had the pleasure of meeting with the, Zach, can you help me with the terminology? Maybe Paul, you can, the comprehensive plan for Milford? Is that, am I good with that? On Tuesday night, it was a well-attended meeting. We plan to meet every month for the next 2 years. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. About the development of Milford. I know that they reach out to you about feedback. I told you that I will take care of the
That
finance
was an
committee's part.
official, I think the technical term is ole.
No, it was, I love my chairman so much that I will take a bullet for him. But no, Mr. Chairman, I just want to let you know that I did meet with them. We did have an effective meeting on Tuesday. We will be meeting on planning board nights. I will be bringing somewhat productive reviews to you guys as much as I can about the comprehensive plan. It is a 2-year plan. It is nothing that's happening anytime soon, but it is a work in progress. Anyone who has any feedback as I bring them to you, I'm happy to bring on to Town Planner Larry Duncan, the Planning Board, Ricky Villani, and everyone else. But if not, and if I'm sick, if anyone wants to sit in, you're more than happy to do that. I can let you know when the meetings are. No, but seriously, it was a good meeting to sit through, and it was something our town needs to do. But I just want to let you know, Mr. Chairman, I did attend that meeting, and we don't need anything now from the Finance Committee, but I think as the committee progresses, I think there might be more involvement from the Finance Committee. So I just want to let you know that that's where we currently
Thank you for
stand.
signing up for those meetings every month.
Yep, send me the check, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Our favorite motion?
To adjourn?
Second.
Okay, Lauren and Vinnie. Motion to adjourn is not debatable. All in favor? Sold. Good night, all. Thank you for anybody who hung on this long. Good night.